and pestilential aqua.
I'm proud of Nigeria despite the challenges. I had an American green card. I gave it up. I'm not excited about it. Crazy about it. I will keep my green card and eventually qualify for citizenship.
More than ever before in the history of our nation, this is the worst instability we are facing. In fact, this is worse than the Civil War. Today, there are a lot of misgiving, a lot of misinterpretations of what is happening. We cannot pretend that we are capable of confronting the situation in our hands.
Editors Hangout, where journalists gather to dissect the pulse of our world. We are not just reporters. We are the guardians of truth and justice. With our pens and mouth sharp enough to pierce through society ills for humanity and a better country. Don't miss out, because when journalists speak, the world listens. Tune in to your Shining Supreme radio station and be part of the conversation every Wednesday from 11 o'clock to 12 noon. Editors Hangout, the meeting point of journalist by journalist for humanity, society, and the country.
A very good morning to you wherever you are picking the signal of Diamond 88.7 FM Ilorin, and this is Editors Hangouts, where we bring you sundry issues all over the world. Today, June 12th, is Nigeria's Democracy Day, a city set aside to remember the June 12, 1993 presidential election annulled by military ruler Ibrahim Babangida. The election was won by Social Democratic Party SDP presidential candidate Bashorun MKO Abiola, who was later arrested and died in detention in 1998. Let's listen to the phone interview MK Abiola had with the BBC on his way to police detention in 1998.
Out to detention by singing the national anthem.
Why are they arresting you?
They are arresting me on an allegation of felony, namely treason or something like that. They're not doing anything, they're just taking me away. Please let me go. I'm delaying them.
And so where are you now? Are you in your car?
I'm in my car now.
Is it police who are with you in your car, or are they escorted? Are they
yes, the commissioner of police is in the car with me, and my senior wife is in the car with me.
Why are they letting you talk on the phone to the BBC while they're in the middle of arresting you?
They have come to arrest me, not to arrest my mouth.
You sound very cheerful about it, Chief Abiola.
Of course. It is all part of democracy here.
And you're happy to go to the police and await whatever charges they're going to file against you?
I'm not in any way disturbed by it. Any sacrifice is in order. If it will bring democracy, peace and prosperity to Nigeria.
Is it possible to talk to the Commissioner of Police who's with you in the car?
I don't know if the Commissioner of Police is authorized to talk. He cannot talk to the press.
What is your advice now to your supporters, many of whom we heard a moment ago?
Well, I told them before I left home to just stay calm. It is very, very important that they stay calm.
So you're appealing for calm. You don't want them to take any direct action in your support?
No.
You still say you're the president of Nigeria, but it's not much good if you're going to be in jail.
Well, Mandela was in jail for 27 years. Kenyatta was in jail. I suppose that is one of the qualifications you need in this part of the world. Don't worry yourself, my friend.
That turned out to be his last interview.
That was the last interview of Bashorun MKO Abiola when he was arrested in his home in 1994. These are the issues we'll be discussing on this week's edition of Editors Hangout on Diamond 80.7 FM. Abiodun Akinwumi is my name, and I have Mr. Akinwumi. He is the editor-in-chief of OrientMass.com. He's also a veteran journalist. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, the Hangout man, and good morning, listeners at home.
Thank you very much. And also have the producer of the program, who is also the general manager of the station, Michael Abiodun Olariwaju. Good morning.
Good morning to our listeners all over the world.
And we know that today is Democracy Day, and we'll be discussing the issue of June 12th, which is Democracy Day. Mao, let me start with you. What are the lessons we should learn from this June 12th election and that was annulled?
The lessons are many, but there are so many young ones out there who didn't even know the genesis of this June 12th. What really happened at led to this June 12th in the first instance? On June 12th, 1993, an election was conducted. In that election, it was called Operation A4, whereby citizens will come out on their lines
and the party they are voting for.
Yes. Then, as of that time, we have a two-party system. We have the Social Democratic
SDP
Party as well as the National Republican Convention. So these two parties are the aftermath of series of postponement of democracy by the Babangida administration. Ibrahim Babangida became the ruler of this country by a coup on August 1985, August 27th specifically. After getting to power, he started experimenting on various options of giving power to the political class. You remember the Second Republic was toppled by General Muhammadu Buhari, specifically December 31st, 1983. But not quite long, another coup came about whereby Babangida overthrew Buhari on August 27, 1985. So when he overthrew the government, he promised to return Nigeria back to democracy. So in the process, he wasted about $40 million on experimenting, turning Nigeria into a chessboard, experimenting various political options. There was a time he allowed about 5 political options. There was a time we had about 23 presidential aspirants. He disqualified all of them. And now, he now came out to two-party system. This two-party system whereby we have the Social Democratic Party and National Republican Convention was believed to have been one of the solutions to the myriad of problems confronting Nigeria politically, because this two-party system was able to edge out ethnicity, religion, and some other modern considerations which has always been the bane of Nigeria as a nation. So when the election was conducted, Chief Mashood Kasimawo Olawale Abiola emerged as the winner of that election. But when the military in power saw that MKO Abiola was about to emerge and that more than 2/3 of the states in the country had been declared, whereby he won convincingly, the next thing was to annul the election. Even Bashir Tofa of the National Republican Convention that contested against MKO Abiola has even congratulated Abiola as the winner of that election. But in the wisdom of the military and some feudal laws, they believed that the election must be annulled, and the election was annulled. So it was the annulment of these elections that led to a series of protests and counter-protests. These protests started from Lagos and spread to other parts of the nation. As the protests were going on, there were demands for a return to democracy. There were demands. Then people now started to see the evil of military regime. With this, the military president, IBB, Baba Ibrahim Badamasi Badangida, actually stepped aside, to use the precise word he used, and installed an interim national government headed by late Chief Ernest Sodende Sonekan. So this interim government was able to survive just for about 9 months before it was overthrown by the oldest and the most senior military officer saddled to stay with that regime, and that person was in person of late General Sani Abacha. So General Sani Abacha overthrew the interim national government after a Lagos High Court has declared that interim national government as illegal. So the military rulers felt that it will be an end to their hegemony, and that was why General Sani Abacha struck and took over. Precisely August 26, 1995.
Thank you very much, Mao. Before we continue the program, let's go on this short commercial break. We'll be right back.
My people, better to read the grant for this month of June. Your Bajaj Boxer, they go for only 895,000 naira. Sharply go find our dealer will near you to jolly this better woo. Offer they available while stock last.
Ko kun san a dukkan shekara mata sama da 8,000 ne ke mutuwa ta sanadiyar cutar cervical cancer, wato ciwon daji na mahaifa. Ana kamuwa da cutar kansa mahaifa ta virus da ake kira human papilloma virus, wato HPV, wacce ake iya kamuwa da ita ta hanyar wanda ke dauke da cutar, kuma za ta iya haifar da cututtuka da dama. Amma albishirinku, za a iya rigakafinta da magunguna.
Haka ne, Najeriya ta samar da allurar rigakafi ta cutar HPV a jihohi 16 tun watan Oktoba na shekara 2023. Yanzu haka za a fara kaddamar da rigakafin a sauran jihohi 21. Don haka ku kai 'ya'yanku mata 'yan shekara 9 zuwa 14 zuwa ƙananan asibitoci mafi kusa da ku don karɓan allurar rigakafi daga 27 na watan Mayu shekara 2024.
Idan kun kai shekara 15, ku je gwaji a asibiti mafi kusa da ku domin yin sikirini akan cutar don kariya da lafiyarku. Allurar rigakafin na bada kariya kyauta ne kuma ba ta da illa. Ku bari mu ba wa 'ya'yanmu kariya a yau domin farin cikin gobe. Domin ƙarin bayani, sai ku tuntuɓi waɗannan lambobin 0706041678 ko kuma 0806708516. Wannan saƙo ne daga National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and Partners.
Welcome back to the program. This is still 88.7 FM and this editors Hangout. We are talking about the June 12th and the election, which happens to be the anniversary of today that we are using as Democracy Day in Nigeria. Mao, continue.
Yes. So as I was saying, the fact that the MKO Abiola had been an unofficial president, elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he went to Epetedo and did a declaration affirming himself as the elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The government of the day of General Sani Abacha made sure he was arrested, charged with felony. Then, in the process, a lot of other human rights groups, the NADECO and all the rest, started springing up. In the process, the National Assembly, headed by Dr. Iyochayu, was abrogated. The likes of present President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they were all they were all being hunted by the military. A lot of them had to go into exile for the safety of their lives. Some even were killed. Because we remembered vividly there were a lot of martyrs that were killed in the process of the struggle for democracy. But one thing paramount in the speech of Abiola was that he had a strong belief that Nigeria should have hope and Nigeria should do a farewell to poverty. That was the manifesto of MKO Abiola. And even on arrest, he still appealed to Nigerians to ensure that democracy, peace, and prosperity is returned to Nigeria. And this has been the anchor. These are some of the lessons that even in the face of arrest, in the face of intimidation, Abiola became resilient. He has the Nigerian spirit of resilience, and he withstood Abacha's regime. Even in his detention, he refused to relinquish his election. In the process, Abacha died not quite long ago again after the American envoy paid Abiola a visit. Abiola too died in detention.
Like a month interval.
So evidently Abiola became a martyr of democracy in Nigeria.
Thank you
with
very much.
All the wealth, with all the connections, with all the things he had enough, he paid the price with his life to make sure democracy returned to Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kilolu. You witnessed that election. Let's first hear your experience. Then, were you surprised after you witnessed the election that most of Nigerians come out personally to vote with all the enthusiasm and all those things? And are you surprised that that election was later annulled?
Thank you, the Hankoman. The presidential election held on June 12, 1993 will forever remain an unforgettable and a significant and important election in the history of Nigeria for many good reasons and other reasons. We will continue to talk about June 12, 1993 election because it was an election that made or got Nigerians unified. People didn't talk about religion. People didn't talk about the tribe you belong to, and it was an election where we had the presidential candidate of a political party being a Muslim, and the vice presidential candidate being a Muslim, and nobody talked about religion. Nobody talked about you're from the south, you're from the north, and the NRC presidential candidate, late Bashir Tofa, an indigene of Kano, lost in Kano State.
To Abiola.
People of Kano State voted for someone from Ogun State and refused to vote for somebody who is a bona fide indigene of Kano State. So it was an election that got Nigerians unified, and unfortunately, rather than sustaining that foundation, we have retrogressed, and that's the sad aspect. But talking about the election, there were painful recollections, and there will always be painful recollections. Talking about people who died, talking about people who were killed, talking about people who were maimed, talking about people who had their livelihood destroyed and they didn't survive it.
And students that were able to go to school for months.
Talking about then it also evoked emotions. You understand? Each time you talk about it, there is this feeling of nostalgia that you feel, that actually happened in Nigeria. Wow, that was quite great. But the point is this: late Chief MK Abiola, we had presidents, we had people before now, before democracy, before we go back to democracy in 1999. We've had late Tafawa Balewa, who served as president, as prime minister. We've had Alhaji Shehu Shagari. But when people talk about democracy in Nigeria, they will always talk about late Chief MK Abiola, who never got sworn in as president. I've emphasized that for you to know that that election was quite significant, and for you to also know that the person who stood as candidate, that Abiola's candidacy will remain a reference point. It will remain something we will continue to talk about when you talk about political history in Nigeria, despite that he never got sworn in as president. That's number one. Number two, he made a sacrifice that no one in the political history of Nigeria has ever done that. He could have said, oh look, General Ibrahim Babangida, you are my friend. Yes, you want to another election? Okay, no problem. Let's talk about other things. But he said no, they were very close. They were family friends. General Ibrahim Babangida, retired General Ibrahim Babangida, and late Chief MK Abiola.
Even up to now, the family are still close. Even till now.
Yet he refused. He refused to allow that annulment. He refused to accept the annulment. He vehemently objected to the annulment up until the last, his last breath. And that means he was someone who believed in that candidacy and he stood by it. That's number two. Number three, are there lessons for people who claim today that they are politicians? Would they be willing, or are they willing to even make sacrifices in respect of their salaries, not to talk of their life? Are they even willing to even make sacrifice to do away with some personal enjoyments? When you're talking about salaries, allowances, which one are they even willing to even like sacrifice? When someone who was a very wealthy man was willing, was determined to say, look, I won this election and nobody will take away this election victory. The other one is this. General Ibrahim Babangida, the then military president, set off to a good start when you talk about his, the system that he introduced. He started by saying, oh, look, there were people, almost about 25 political parties that sprang up. And they said, no, let's have two political parties. And technically, government owned those political parties because government built secretariat
all local governments
for the two political parties in each of the local governments. Then the likes of late Umaru Yaradua, Shehu Yaradua, Shinkafi, Nwobodo, Sarumi and others.
Yes, Edru and others.
They wanted to become presidents. There's Olushola Saraki.
Yes.
They contested the primary elections were for the NRC and the SDP were ongoing. Then the military president said, look, I'm annulling the primary elections. And they came up with Decree 87 that all past political office holders, you cannot participate in the election again. He called them old breeds. And that was what allowed the likes of Chief MK Abiola to join the presidential race in 1992. And while Babangida set off to a good start in respect of his transition program, it eventually ended as an unmitigated disaster because he had that opportunity. God really helped him by crowning his efforts with a very good and great success because you had an election where the Northerners voted for the Southerner, where the Christians voted for same faith ticket, same faith presidential ticket. Nobody talked about religion, and yet Babangida annulled that election. And it actually started 2 days before the election, on June 10, 1993, when Zeribe approached the Federal High Court in Abuja, and Justice Besi Ipeme, gave another restraining neck, from going ahead with the election, citing allegations of corruption, and the government, came out to say, look, there is a decree, stopping, such injunction from, stopping the election. The election they have to continue with the election. But the thing is, people who played roles that history will always remember them as playing that negative role. They will not be forgotten.
Mr. Kelolu, please let's have this commercial break. Listener at home, you will continue the program after this commercial break. Please stay tuned.
My people, better to read the grant for this month of June. Your Bajaj Boxer, they go for only 895,000 naira. Sharply go find our dealer will near you to jolly this better woo. Offer they available while stock last.
No work, no food, no house, no life. The small water then they bring us so dirty they pull am. The small money they get now social transport they chop am. School low, na headache, hospital no work. I tire for life oh. My brother, waiting you they think oh. My sister, help don't come. SDP, MKO, Kingi Ben, action. MKO, Kingi Ben, SDP, progress. Abiola na the hope, SDP na the party to solve our problem and better our life. Oh, MKO, 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 action. Abiola, 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 progress. Now him be the hope for better tomorrow.
Welcome back to Editors Hangout on Diamond 88.7 FM. Mr. Kelolu, continue with your thoughts on the 1993 general election.
When eventually on June 23, 1993, the then military president, Ibrahim Babangida, announced the annulment of that widely acclaimed free election, and he gave an excuse that there were conflicting court rulings, and because of that there was a plausible reason to annul the election, but this was greeted with protest, and eventually he had to leave on August 26, and he handed over to Chief Shoneken, who spent 82 days. He left November 11, 1993, and because of the suffering or let me say the pain that the people of the Southwest felt and experienced, when democracy came back in 1999, the three major political parties had to, it was an unspoken thing, it was an unspoken agreement that, look, let the Southwest produce the presidential candidates, and that was why the AD stopped the late Shibola Ige from becoming the presidential candidate, because they knew it may not be available, and they had to produce Olufalaye, and the APP too also stopped the likes of late Olusola Saraki from becoming the presidential candidate, and they had to produce Dr. Bruno Yaono, who allowed that arrangement to work out by allowing Chief Olufalaye to become the APP-AD presidential candidate. So the three political parties then, they believed, all the northerners and the southeastern people believed, look, late Chief Emko Abiola had paid the sacrifice, paid the price, and actually he was the one who sacrificed his life. He had died in detention after spending 4 years there. Okay, the person who will be the next president should be from the southwest. And apart from that, a few years ago, precisely during the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, he was officially, recognized as. They even agreed that he won the election. So that was the first thing they did. Like, okay, yes, late Chief Emko Abiola won that election.
I was given
unfortunately
the honorary award.
Unfortunately, yes, he wasn't sworn in, and he couldn't have been sworn in anymore because he is dead. But at least there was a pronouncement that he won that election. And that was not all. May 29th had been the Democracy Day for almost 15 or 16 years. They have changed it now to June 12th, and every June 12th will be celebrating Democracy Day. Meaning that late Chief Emko Abiola will always be remembered. They will always mention his name. They will always talk about him. They will always talk about that special, significant, and important election. So, the lesson there is this: people who had money, they are dead. People have forgotten about them.
Even most of his legacy, then the Concord newspaper, Concord airline is gone. But that legacy,
but that sacrifice that he made, will make him relevant forever. So it goes to show that it is important that as citizens we have to show patriotism, and when it is necessary for us to pay sacrifice, we should do it. We should be committed to that ideals of ensuring that, look, whatever it is, the interest of our nation comes first. The interest of our nation should be the priority. Whatever we do, whatever it is, our personal interest or whatever either that has to do with religion, that has to do with the tribe we come from, the overall, interest should be the paramount in our minds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinwumi. Now, during the break, I played the jingle on presidential mantra of MQ Abiola. We talk about power, all those things. And it's a pity that 31 years after that election, both of these problems is more pronounced than it was in 1993. When will this vision of MQ Abiola be realized in Nigeria?
Yes, the dreams of Abiola cannot be materialized in Nigeria till death, because most of the beneficiaries of democracy at onset are people that does not have the belief in democratic rule. For instance, the first president to emerge, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, a retired military general, a man who doesn't even believe that Abiola is of any serious significance. He said that he's not a messiah that Nigeria desire, despite the sacrifices he has made. These are the people that emerge as leaders. The likes of David Mark, a retired general too, who became Senate president and who was in the Senate for about 19 years. And many of them like that found themselves at the ends of their affairs, who did not even believe in the tenets of democracy. So we shouldn't expect too much from them. It is a question of leadership emergence. It is a question of the type of leaders that had been produced, that we are still producing till date, that is really affecting the dreams of Abiola. Abiola have so many lofty dreams. He is having a dream of an egalitarian society. He is having a lofty dreams of prosperity, peace. He is having a dream of a nation that will be a giant, an example to other nations in Africa. Abiola is not just a pan-Nigerian, he's a pan-Africanist to the core. But how come that were these dreams not realized because the succeeding leaders doesn't share the dreams Abiola had? Because after Obasanjo, Yaradua that would have had certain, that would have had similar dreams like Abiola, did not live long. Apart from not even living long, the health situation consigned him to a corner, and the man that succeed, Ebele Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who would have translated some of the dreams into reality, had a host of political hosts around him that are much more powerful than him and were more or less sabotaging his efforts. Then who replaced Goodluck Jonathan? Another military leader, retired General Muhammadu Buhari. These are people that doesn't share the same dream with Abiola. These are military leaders, and the ones that are not military leaders, who are political enthusiasts like Yaradua and Ebele Jonathan, they were much more lecturers with fine ideas of governance, but supported by former military leaders who doesn't share the ideas these people share. So definitely that has been one of the bane of realizing that dream.
Thank you very much, my listeners at home. You can also join us on the program by dialing the studio number 09136556952. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Yes. Your name, where you are calling us from?
This is Man. I'm calling from Ekiti. God bless Nigeria.
God bless you too. Let us your contribution.
In fact, first and foremost, I need to recognize the presence of our guest this morning, because today's program will make it to be so fantastic and educative. In fact, I can describe two of our guests today as historians, because we learn many things. But one thing that really amazed me was that you said Babangida and MK Abiola, they were intimate friends. Then why did they not have a kind of conspiracy against him? And number two, as you are describing what happened in the past, I realized that, in fact, if we can learn most of these things, it can even help us to address the issue we have presently in Nigeria, such as the leadership that we face in this country. Because in this issue that you told us right now, you said that Abiola, he was not even self-centered. He was catered for the interest of Nigeria. But nowadays, many of our leaders, they are only catered for themselves, not for the interest of the masses. Then the electorate, then they don't even go after the highest bidder among the politicians. But today, where we are after the highest bidder among the political class. So unless and until we change our mindset, Nigeria will be better. So that is my take. God bless Nigeria.
God bless you, and thank you very much. Mr. Kilolu, you talk about the friendship between MKO and Babangida. That's why, what was this situation that brought the issue of envy that come to the annulment of that election? That was the question I was saying, that when they are close before the election, that's when was things fall apart between the two people.
Thank you, Mr.
Madam from
Okefoma.
Malam from Okefoma. That's a very good question. The answer is simple. Late Chief M.K. Abiola was a friend of the military. He was, and his friendship started with late General Murtala Mohammed, even before he became the head of state. And he had so many generals as friends. He was actually very powerful. Even during military government, he was very, very powerful. He was an influential person. And if you look at history and the facts that are available, the people who installed the Murtala Mohammed military administration were the likes of IBB, General Abdul Mohammed, and others. So naturally, the friendship will flow with other ones. I'm talking about why it happened that the two friends later became foes. It is simple. Why is it that siblings who are of the same parents, the same father, the same mother, when it comes to chieftaincy title, they start to fight? So it is normal. It is
a game of power.
it is part of the nature of human beings that once interest conflict, definitely that friendship will end. They will place friendship somewhere for friendship will be in abeyance while the interest to achieve aspirations will become the most important thing to the parties involved. So that is it.
Thank you very much, sir. And listen, at home, we go on a short commercial break, and after the break, we'll come back. Thank you very much for joining us.
My people, better to read the grant for this month of June. Your Bajaj Boxer, they go for only 895,000 naira. Sharply go find our dealer way near you to jolly this better woo. Offer they available while stock last.
Welcome back to the program. This is still Editors Hangout on Diamond 88.7 FM, where we discuss sundry issues that affect Nigeria and the world at large. You can join us on the program with the studio line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you are calling us from?
My name is Abdulika.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, we are hearing you now.
Okay, Abdulkarim Kara from Babuko.
Let's have your contribution. Do you witness that 1993 election?
Okay.
Hello.
I want to contribute to the discussion of our audience there.
Okay.
And kudos to them.
Thank you very much.
They said a lot. My contribution is that those who are in affairs of our administration now, they are just, I want to copy the late Bella Nikulapo song that say democratization of crazy. They don't democratize in normal democracy. They're supposed to democratize. Okay. Democratization of crazy.
Sorry, that crazy is not. Sorry, that crazy is not allowed on this.
Unless they apart from.
Oh, the line is even off. Please, when you are calling on the program, there are some words that's not allowed on air. Thank you very much. Mao. 31 years after the annulment of the election. And looking at the military, the constitution that we have in 1990, many believe that it was a military constitution. Do we say that the military shall change the Nigerian people, and even that people that fought for that democracy, were they searching with constitution that we have, that give us the kind of political leader that we have, whether we like it or not? During the 1990 election, people did not even ask for money, but asking for money, vote buying has become the order of the day. Was it part of the reason why we are having this kind of leaders that we are having today?
Yes, there are too many lacunas in the 1999 constitution. Even with all the amendments we've been making, the amendments have not been populist in nature. One thing you should realize about MKO Abiola got the votes simply based on his populist policies, just like what is happening in Brazil as of today. The Brazilian president as of today got to power with his populist policies as the leader of the labor union there. And it is these same populist policies of Abiola which doesn't give any emphasis to either tribal or religious sentiments. He was a famous man. He was a wealthy man. He appeals to the grassroots people. Abiola is such that traversed the length and breadth of Nigeria. He associated with the people at the grassroots. There are a lot of things happening as of today. Most of our political leaders as of today, or most of our politicians, are not grassrooted. They are much more dependent on money, and because they have gone to the level of monetizing politics, and that is part of the result of not having the rightful people at the ends of affairs till today. Abiola did not monetize politics. He sold his manifestos to the people. He made people realize that he wanted them to bid farewell to poverty. He wanted them to bid farewell to hunger. He wanted the people to bid farewell to malnutrition. He wanted Nigerians to prosper wherever they are and whatever things they are doing. And how could all these things happen? He touched on power, agriculture, education, health, and all sectors. So, looking at even President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's manifestos in this last election.
Renewed hope.
Yes, renewed hope is just a re-encoing of Hope 93. Because all the sectors were enunciated by that manifesto. But even if Tinubu and a few others who actively participated in that June 12 problem, if they really had it in their hearts that they wanted to carry out the programs and policies of Hope 93, what of those surrounding them? Do they share the same ideas? Do they have the same ideology? Are they schooled in the same school of thought? These are some of the questions we will continue to ask.
Thank you very much.
These are some of the challenges.
Mr. Akinwumi, what stops us from having that kind of acceptable election that we have in 1993? And if you are going to have it, what are the things that we need to do as a country? Because whether we like it or not, since that time we don't have that kind of self-acclaim and what you can say a well-acceptable election in Nigeria. What's up for having that kind of election? And if we are going to have it, what are the things that we need to do to have that kind of election that will be well acceptable by all parties, that will stop all this litigation here and there?
Thank you, the Command. To enhance electoral integrity in Nigeria, we have to have all hands on deck. We have to have everyone getting committed to ensuring that we have electoral integrity. And if we have to do this, it is important that the politicians become punctilious, and they will also have to do away with personal interest, because that desperation to acquire political positions, that desperation to acquire wealth, that desperation to acquire fame, are the ones pushing people to the extreme, and they can do anything to ensure that they win
election.
an election. And if in 1993, which is 31 years ago, right? We had an election that would have helped, to lay the foundation for a stronger electoral integrity in the country, and we have missed the opportunity by retrogressing to the extent or to the level that it's quite dangerous that you have even local government elections have been considered as elections that mere coronation, where the candidates of a ruling political party already know that a candidate knows that I'm already the chairman,
councillor, and everyone else
waiting because I'm the candidate of the ruling party. So if we want that electoral integrity, if we want our election outcomes to be acceptable, that people will not question our election outcomes, what we need to do is to first of all strengthen that institution. You understand? We have to strengthen INEC and make it, we'll strengthen it to the level that whatever INEC says, we'll believe them. Because once an institution is threatened and we believe that it's not being controlled by anyone, either external or internal factors. So once we have that, we will definitely accept whatever. If INEC says this person has won, no, we say yes, he must have actually won the election. That's number one. Number two, the politicians, the leaders of political parties should sensitize members of their respective political parties that look, yes, we want to win election, but it must not be a do or die affair. That's number two. Number three, the masses, the electors, the voters, the people. Do away with money politics. One day they will give you 10 naira today, and for the next 4 years you will not see them. That is why I always, I do say it, that we shouldn't continue to blame our leaders. Rather, we should blame the citizens, because we make our leaders who we want them to be, and we produce leaders that we want. If everyone determines that, look, I'm not collecting money, I'm not collecting rice, I'm not collecting semo, bring all the bags of semo, I will not collect them, and I will vote for a candidate that I know will serve our interests the way we want. Then it must start from the primary elections.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name, where are you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm Mr. Didari from Kulende.
Let's have a contribution shortly, sir.
Yeah. Now, I witnessed the election on June 12th.
Okay, let's have your experience.
It was very simple and straightforward, and there was no trouble anywhere in Nigeria. So it was wonderful. But I want to point out a mistake that some people make.
Okay.
The election was not annulled on that day. It was actually annulled when it was being announced on 23rd of June, 1993. I was listening to the campaign on the radio.
Okay, because none of our presenters here said, none of our guests said it was annulled on that day.
Okay. No, I mean some people have that misconception that it was annulled on Tuesday. No.
Okay.
It was when it was being counted. It was when it was being announced on the radio.
Professor
that it was announced on 23rd June.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Now, a quick one. The election was held on June 12, 1993. Professor Nwosu announced the first round of election results on June 14. And on June 16, Abiola Davis approached the High Court, and Justice Dairu Saleh gave an order restraining INEC from continue with the announcement of the election results. And on June 23rd, General Ibrahim Babangida made a speech annulling the election. That was what happened.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinwumi. Is the publisher of OrientMax.com, and that will be the start of our package on this week's edition of Editors Hangout on Diamond 88.7 FM. Join us next week for another package on the program. Until then, Abiodun Akinwumi is my name. In Nigeria of our dream is still a possibility. Let us work together to make Nigeria great. God bless Nigeria.
In the finest city of Ilori lies a secret.
Diamonds 88.7 FM.
Radio like no other.
88.7 FM. Diamond.